finally, a source of raw, real, and honest information on healthcare issues that matter most. Welcome to BS Free MD. From the latest medical information to how to stay sane as a doctor or a patient, no subject is taboo, no BS is allowed. Now, let's welcome your hosts, Doctors May and Tim Hindmarsh.
So before we get to what we're going to talk about, we have to remember that this is live. And so we will tell you exactly, we'll leave this to the best, we'll do it live person ever. Bill, take it away.
All right, fuck it. Do it live. I'll write it and we'll do it live. And thing sucks.
Yes, hopefully we don't suck, but we are doing it live. Yes, I could have the worst day of my entire life, and I watch that, and it makes me happy. I don't know if that makes me a bad person, but that really makes me happy.
You know why? I think it makes you happy. It's because it's like he's a real person, and he had a bad day just like you do.
He did. And people forget that Bill O'Reilly, one of the biggest names in news commentary, actually was on Inside Edition.
But, you know, I just look back at my life, and if things had been recorded like they are today on social media, oh my gosh,
we would be homeless.
I would have much more fodder out there than Bill O'Reilly, I think. Anyways.
Yes. So what are we going to talk about tonight? Tonight we're going to talk about I went for a motorcycle ride and went to a really cool tavern and made some interesting observations, which I shall share.
That's number one.
Number two, we're going to talk about why everyone should know the story of Ignatz Semmelweis, a Hungarian physician from around 1850. That is an amazing story. It will literally blow your mind and has a lot to do with what's going on today. And then May.
I have some, well, I was looking for weird news of the week because we like to share these stories, but there's not a lot of weird, but there's some fascinating news out there this week. I've got a couple of updates on why one thing that will catch Tim off guard, which has to do with flying, and another to do with some creepy crawly insects, as well as...
Yes, since we want to move to Florida now, every article May finds is how every single thing outside in Florida wants to kill you.
It's true.
Yes, your lawn wants to kill you.
That
your
and
swamp wants to kill you.
Another health update on something that will kill you if you consume it.
And then we're going to talk about May's scientific experiment of once you've been married for 31 years and you tend to share your partner's thoughts. She did an experiment.
I did a randomized controlled double blind. No, I did not. Anyway.
Well, it failed.
Do people of 31 years read each other's minds? Yes, we do, but I tested it out and I'll share the results of that. All that and more, I'm sure, as well as the cocktail of the day in 30 minutes or less or more, depending on how many of you
ask questions.
Comment. Not just ask questions, but comment. We are here for our Doctales and love your engagement. It makes it so much more fun when you guys comment.
And this may be the first time in 31 years that we both got our hair done on the exact same day.
Yes, we are looking
that is
beautiful. Look at I don't know you can notice more if you're watching the video, but Tim probably got 2 inches cut off as well of hair. Oh, stop your face.
Oh okay, yes, of hair.
I just am speechless. He's still
Hey, I didn't say a thing, and somehow like I'm still in the freaking doghouse.
Your face.
In the freaking doghouse. So what do you want to get to first? Let's get to the motorcycle ride.
Let's talk about that motorcycle ride.
Okay, so we went to this winery, which I didn't even know existed. And of course, we didn't check because we're knuckleheads. And we rode out to King Estates Winery, which looks amazing. I can't say anything about the wine because it was closed.
Okay, wait. I'm going to interrupt your storytelling just for a second. And then I'll let you continue. Do I need to pass the baton stick for my talking for a moment?
No, don't do that because we will beat each other with it.
We talked about that. So did you all notice what he said? He was going to a winery, but I was not invited.
Well, if you would have continued riding motorcycles, you would have been invited. But so you sort of disinvited yourself.
That's another story. So Tim is going to a winery with his bro on a motorcycle.
Right. Well, it is the month of June, and I was proud of my riding.
All right, continue.
So we get there, and of course, it's closed, but it is crazy. Like there literally is 2 square miles of freaking grapes at this place. I was floored. It was like Paso Robles. So you got to say it like the locals, Paso Robles. So we, plan B. So we're getting hungry and we're getting thirsty. And so we ride into Elmira and we go to Crazy Al's Tavern.
So from the vineyard and the winery
to Crazy Al's Tavern.
To Crazy Al's Tavern. That
so
is
I'm looking at this place,
right there.
and it is a gigantic cinder block. It's just a big, like, no windows, nothing. And I'm like, you have my full attention, Crazy Al. I don't know who you are, but this is perfect.
As our friends Tom and Elizabeth like to say, welcome to the shit show.
Yes, and it was great. Like it was awesome. I give a total shout out to Crazy Al's Tavern in Elmira. Great drinks. It was actually a bar because it had liquor, not just beer and wine like taverns are supposed to have. So after a couple drinks and some lunch, I'm feeling decent. And I'm thinking, how come it's okay to use mental illness as a marketing ploy for your business? And Crazy Al was not the first guy to do this, but it's like, it's Crazy Al's. It'll be fun. He's crazy and he's serving booze. What could possibly go wrong?
Okay, can I ask a question though? So maybe there's you are connotating crazy with mental illness. Maybe it's like crazy in love, crazy ambitious,
whatever.
Funny, crazy.
Okay.
Busy,
so where I grew up in Saskatoon, Saskatchewan. No, you got to get the rest of the story. Where I grew up in Saskatoon, Saskatchewan, up in Canada, there was Crazy Kylie's, and Crazy Kylie sold stereos. And actually, it got so crazy, they dropped the Kylie, and the place was just crazy. Get these deals; they're crazy, because obviously manipulating mentally ill people for a good deal on a car stereo is what you should do. So I was thinking, mental illness gets a pass as a marketing ploy. So why don't we use other diseases and see how it works, right?
Wait, okay,
so
I'm already calling BS on this.
No,
I'll let you finish, and then I will counterpoint.
That's fine. So you think of this, right? You have a plumbing wholesale company that sells wholesale plumbing, and you're Gonorrhea Glenn. Gonorrhea Glenn's discount toilet seats. Deals you're burning to get.
Well, nobody's going to want those.
Deals you're burning to get. Yes, deals so good, you'll clap all the way to the bank. Mop up these deals before penicillin makes them all gone. Come to Gonorrhea Glenn's plumbing wholesaler.
I think that's a business that's going to go under.
Somebody went, yes. Okay. It gets worse. What about Cancer Ken's mattress factory?
What?
Yes. If it can be Crazy Kylie, it can be Cancer Ken's metastatic Memorial Day sale. Deals spreading faster than unchecked melanoma.
Oh my God.
Yes. Or HIV AIDS Al. Deals you'll never be immune to because, well, Al's not immune to a damn thing. See, it doesn't work. So I'm thinking any diagnosis should not be used, whether it's crazy, whether it's Gonorrhea Glenn, whether it's HIV L.
Maybe.
Just saying, it doesn't work, man. Leave the medical shit
what was
out of.
Crazy's name again, Al? So Crazy Al. Maybe he doesn't mind being called. Maybe he's owning it. Maybe he wants to be called Crazy Al. No. So here's the
bipolar Bill. Like seriously, I'll have.
Here's this is the first thing that popped in my head, and when you were telling this, is that I'm trying to think anyway, our daughter, love her, and her and I were at our concert up in the city, and we're in line to get food or something before it starts, and they had the prices listed. Of course, concerts and prices and everything's inflated 3 times the price. And I stood there. I was getting a wine or
here's
food,
my
whatever.
kidney. Can I have a hot dog?
And I'm looking at the prices and I'm standing in line with her. And I'm like, oh my gosh, that's ridiculous. That is so gay. It's so expensive. And she's like, Mom, shh, you can't say that word out loud in that way. I'm like, gay. Shh. So
how would high
Okay,
prices be
so-
gay though? Like regardless of whether you use it as a deterrent.
So my point is, like, if I looked at it, I started laughing. I'm like, I'm sorry, it's just a reflection of my age and the times when we would use that word to say something is ridiculous. I don't even think about people that are in the LGBTQ world or that are actually in a gay relationship. When I use that, I don't even mean it to be demeaning. It's because
no,
it
and
was a term
obviously-
that meant silly, ridiculous, instead of colorful, flowerful, full of love and life, gay, happy. So she was like all over
it's
it.
still a slam.
So nowadays,
It's still totally a slam
Yeah.
on people that are not heterosexual. Like, let's be honest, it's still a slam. I mean, I'm not making a judgment either way, but I mean, there's stuff my parents said. They did not have a racist bone in their body. And I could absolutely not in a million years would repeat it on a podcast. And it was just like standard operating procedure.
True. So I'm just thinking back to, so I had that came out of my mouth. I'm owning it. I think about things now because the world has changed, but I'm thinking maybe Crazy Owls it's just because it's like, it was the thing. It's Crazy Owls. It's a fun, crazy place.
Well, crazy's fun.
And he's not thinking about
the crazy's fun. But that's why I like my because gonorrhea
You took it to the whole
is
next
not
level.
fun. But you know what? When you look deep down, we have a mental health crisis in the country. Crazy's not fun either.
No,
exactly. I mean, let's be really honest. It's not.
My point being, I don't know that he's purposely. I don't know that
that
guy has enough wherewithal to put the two and two together.
I have not met L, but I have drank his whiskey and his beer, and they were delicious.
Is it crazy good?
No, it was gonorrhea good.
Oh gosh. Okay.
Just dripped down the side of the glass.
Oh,
unbelievable.
My God. Okay, if you have children listening, I apologize now for this evening episode.
It's Doctales with cocktails. It's not juice box with.
we could have a juice box
romper room with the mirror. I see Billy and I see Sally, and I'm like,
that's true. No excuses.
Romper room
on a Wednesday night. Oh,
yes, because if you're not drinking by Wednesday night, you have a really good job. That's what that.
You're sharing TMI. Well, I'm excited for you to share about Semmelweis. This was enlightening to me because I did not recall this story at all. So
I'm trying to make it. There we go. There, look at that.
Oh, look at that. There's a resemblance to Tim. Is. He's got a photo up here of a guy with a nice balding No,
he was way more bald than me. But here's the deal.
He's got the stash you used to have.
So here's what I don't understand about this guy. Okay. No, I don't. What I don't understand about these pictures they take of these people. This guy died at 47. Okay. I'm 11 years older than he is now. And they all look like they're 80.
That guy looks like he is late 50s in the photo for sure.
No, it's crazy. It I don't know. Maybe it was the stress they were under, the cobblestone streets.
Oh, but hey, that's coming back, and that'll be my next segment.
So, anyways, Ignatz Semmelweis was a Hungarian-born physician who was actually a real scientist. He did real sciencey things. In other words, he observed stuff, took notes, changed things he did based on his interventions and observations, and came to some amazing conclusions. So in 1846, I think he was like a resident or a medical student, and he was in this hospital in Vienna, and it was the perfect place for an experiment. So they had two maternity wards. The one maternity ward, doctors delivered the babies. The other one, midwives did. And they had 5 times more postpartum infections when the doctors delivered the babies than when the midwives did. So he looks at it and he's like, well, what the heck is this? Like, why is this going on? Well, the midwives would deliver women on their sides. The doctors they'd be on their, in the lithotomy position on their back. So he would, deliver them on their sides. They still got just as many infections. So he did all these things. And then what he figured out was one of his friends, who was a pathologist, was doing an autopsy, and he ended up with the exact same infection after he pricked his finger doing an autopsy as the infections that the women would get. And he's like, oh, this fever, because it was before germ theory, it was 1846. This fever is the same in everybody. It's not specific. They thought it was specific to being pregnant and having a baby. So he's like, oh, well, the doctors go and do autopsies, and then they walk from these dead bodies because they had no gloves and they never washed their hands. And then they go deliver babies. Maybe there's some sort of debris, cadaveric debris. That would be a great name for a metal band. Cadaveric debris. I'm owning that now. There was some cadaveric debris on their hands that they then transmitted to the women, and that somehow gave the fever. So what he came up with was brilliant. He said, dude, when you come from the autopsy suite and you're going to deliver a baby, wash your freaking hands in chlorinated solution. He did that, and he decreased the infection rate to almost nothing. Like from, it was 18% of all deliveries to like 1 or 1% or whatever. Like, it was amazing.
So they had chlorinated solution?
Yeah, they had a lot. It was 1846. This wasn't like 1500.
I know. I'm wondering what they used chlorine for if they didn't know about germ theory.
They knew that it changed things and it sterilized stuff, but they had no idea what they were sterilizing.
Check that out. If any of you out there in the broadcast world know anything about that, let us know.
So anyways, he starts washing his hands. He gets a lot of the other doctors, and it's like having this major effect. So what did they do? Did they give him a Nobel Prize, which obviously didn't exist yet? Did they name a wing of the hospital after him? No, they threw him in an insane asylum and beat him to death.
Ooh.
Obviously, the head of that hospital was Fauci. Well, maybe a predecessor. But no, what happened was, it's a little more nuanced than that. Old Ignatz, or Iggy, as his friends would call him, was kind of, from what the research I've done, was kind of an a-hole. And he was like, if you don't wash your hands, you're, and he would demean people and whatever. And it's debatable. He might have driven himself crazy, which is possible, or he was declared crazy because he was going against medical homogeny. And then they threw him in jail, and he lasted a very short time in jail, and he was beaten to the point where he had a wound that ironically got infected and then killed him of sepsis, which is what he was actually preventing in all these women that he saved.
Get out.
Yes. So it was really, really crazy. So the thing there's two parts about this that's crazy. One, he came up with the most basic hygiene thing that saves tons of people, which is hand hygiene, right? We take it all for granted. This is way before germ theory, about 40-ish years before germ theory. Number two, if you make a good discovery, don't be an a-hole about it. Actually, how you communicate it is how you're going to win people over. And if you're just obnoxious, it's probably not good. And three, this kind of orthodoxy 100% still exists in medicine. It's not the exception because it's 2023. It's the rule. That's the way hierarchical systems, man, I could say hierarchical. I need to drink more. That's the way hierarchical systems actually work, by dismissing, demeaning people, on and on. So we owe a debt of gratitude to Ignatz for coming up with the fact that washing your hands after you've done an autopsy is probably a good idea before you see another patient. Just saying. And number two, reminding us that a lot of these things in human nature, they don't change. They just stay the same.
Yeah. Oh, so I'm thinking it's been a while since I've done an autopsy. I have done one of those. I've done a couple unofficial ones as a medical examiner. I'm thinking, have you done? Did you do?
I did death investigations. Yeah, we never did autopsies.
We didn't do full on true autopsies, but I have done one real autopsy on a patient. That was crazy. That's
crazy.
I just said it. See, you planted that seed in my brain because I don't usually say that.
That's crazy. It's not syphilis. It's crazy.
Well, it was along the lines of
Although
that.
syphilis can make you crazy. That is absolutely true.
Maybe I'll share that really briefly. That story, since this is kind of free association Doctales, and that's a good story where we like to share
The music's still in my head.
about ridiculous things that we've done in the past and make fun of ourselves. Trying to remember the year. It was in between, I think, second and third year med school for me, where I did this summer externship voluntarily in a rural area in Canada. And I won't disclose names or places just because that's, I don't know, doesnh probably
Just because it
matter
was
anymore.
35 years ago and everyone's dead.
In the middle of Canada, I went up to this tiny little town of 5,000 or maybe 3,500 people. And I was there. The story is amazing of like where, okay. So the hospital was owned by and started by the nuns. I can't remember what order, doesn't really matter. And I slept in this convent next to the hospital and had to go to mass. And wasn't even Catholic with these nuns. It was just part of the requirements. It was strange. And yeah.
They made you go
They
to mass.
made me go to mass.
As a medical
I just
student?
remember that.
They made you go?
Yep.
So-
Stand up,
so
sit
was it
down,
like the-
kneel. I participated in mass, but I didn't fully participate.
So was the Mother Superior like the penguin in the
Mm.
Blues Brothers, where she like levitated across the room? That'd be cool.
I don't
and whacked you
I
with
don't
a
remember
ruler?
that, but I do remember they were all in habits and they were gray, and the gray nuns is common in Canada. And yeah, I had to go to that, and it was really creepy. And I was in the attic of this convent,
I want
and
to start the plaid nuns. That'd
So-
be cool.
go from the attic to this patient. It was so sad. She was older. She did have cancer. She got shortness of breath in the middle of the night. And I was, the student there trying to figure out and help the nurses figure out what's wrong with her. Anyway, she passed away in the middle of the night. I felt distraught, like it was my fault that I didn't save her. Anyway, the supervising doctor, the family practice doc in that town, came out. I know we pronounced her dead. And he's like, okay, so in the morning, we're going to do an autopsy so we can see exactly what got her. And I'm like, what? So get this, the morgue was in the basement of this tiny little hospital, and there was this creepy mortician guy. His name, I remember it was Nick, and he was so creepy. He was pale and he almost looked like a vampire kind of guy. And I can remember his face just totally now. So I show up there, and then the doc, the family practice doc that's in this town, he comes in, and Nick is like, oh, smiling and happy. And it was just like the Munsters or something.
That sounds way worse than the Munsters.
So we get this lady literally on the table, and we proceeded to anatomy 101 class, cut into her strategically to assess what was the cause of death. And she had cancer, and she died from giant pulmonary embolism, which was a giant clot in her pulmonary arteries. And it was a learning experience, but whoa, it was much different, of course, than anatomy.
Yeah,
lab,
that wouldn't
strapped
happen.
inside.
That wouldn't happen in medical school nowadays. Like they'd have to.
And
Like,
I
it's
don't
like,
think
okay,
Nick
here's a
had
patient you
gloves
saw.
on. I don't think Nick had gloves on
You know,
either.
12 hours later, you're doing an autopsy on
No.
a patient that you were treating before. It's like you need a safe space or some sort of.
That was in the
whatever.
80s.
Yeah.
That's all
No,
I'll say.
that's
So we've had some bizarre experiences, and that was one of them. So yes, we did the autopsy on her. We checked out her heart. We got to do a few extra things just to like, while we're here, let's find her cancers, tumors, etc. So yeah, I did an autopsy. That's my story.
since we're in the neighborhood, we'll call Cancer Ken and his Memorial Day mattress metastasis.
I can almost remember that patient's name, and it's just
Yeah, how about you don't?
it's on the. No, I'm not going to say it, but it's like
That would be great.
Anyway.
Yes, we've never been sued by Canadians before, but hey, there's always the first time. All right, what do you got?
I have a bottle of Chopin vodka. That's what I have. That's what we're having for drinks tonight. I love Chopin. This is the gluten-free.
Okay, gluten-free. It's freaking 40% liquor. Of course it's gluten-free.
Most of them are. This is made from potatoes. I love potato vodka. It's their potato vodka. They have wheat vodka right beside it. I just like the taste of it, but guess what? I am not drinking it usually on the rocks with my lime. Look at the cups we have. We have beautiful
Moscow Mule cups.
copper mule cups, and we are both drinking something different. And this is actually interesting. Tim is drinking a Moscow Mule, and we were comparing because I am drinking, and I found this. It is this fun. Here we go. Try to hold it up properly. Langer Farms, and it is a pineapple coconut 100% juice from concentrate, of course. And the mixture of this coconut pineapple juice, it's mostly filtered water, then pineapple juice, concentrate, coconut cream, and no additives. The reason we don't drink a lot of shishi cocktails on the show is because I am allergic to food dyes, specifically red, but even the other stuff bugs me, and I can't do malt liquors. I can't do any of that stuff. So we have to be, I stick to the pure real food stuff.
And vodka is a real food.
I like vodka straight anyway. But so I found this and I'm like, this sounds good. It would be good with rum if you're a rum drinker. And then I found the ingredients list on here and compared it to Tim's Feverfew ginger beer that he's got. This has in an 8-ounce serving 34 grams of carbs. Now, this giant bottle of ginger beer, which they say is one serving, is 16.9 ounces. So it's double and has 43 grams of sugar, 49 carbs. So guess what? You're better off to have the non-juice, the ginger beer.
Well, no, fruit juice is insane. It's candy. It's drinking Coke. Like, let's be honest.
Well, there's vitamins in
whatever
fruits compared to Coke. That would be my only argument.
There's vitamins attached to the massive amounts of sugar.
And there might be the chance if you drink.
It's like that fruit juice. No, honest to God, fruit juice with the vitamins or whatever. That's like vitamin infused cigarettes. Yeah. Okay.
Wait.
Well, it's fortified with niacin.
If you eat fruit, you're saying you're just eating candy?
Yes.
No vitamins in it?
Well, there's vitamins. There's vitamins in lots of stuff. Like my unfiltered camels are loaded with vitamins.
All right. So if you'd like to show our sponsored beverage of the week again, so that we can, maybe, but this
Chopin?
company is, by the way,
they're from.
They are a family-owned business, the Dorda family in Poland. Do you think they'll sponsor us from Poland?
I think that's a high likelihood.
Somebody knows. Someone's got connections in Poland.
But I like the Moscow Mule, right? Because it's like supposed to be this Russian drink because it's just got vodka in it. Yes, we don't drink mule in Russia. We ride mule because we have no gasoline. We ride the mule.
So if you
but we drink the vodka while we ride the mule.
That are watching, because I know you're out there because I could see you. Share us your favorite cocktail or beverage. Let us know.
Mule riding.
And if you're driving home and just listening, don't text and drive.
And don't drink and drive. That would be also bad. Unless you are driving mule, in which case you can only go 4 miles an hour. You cannot get in too much of a crash.
Correct.
You drink mule whilst ride mule. What could possibly go wrong?
So I was looking for
communism. That's what could possibly go wrong.
Okay. Some wacky news this week, and I didn't find a whole lot of wacky, but I did find some fascinating stuff just to catch Tim off guard here. So I'd like to report that one of Tim's dreams is now coming true. You know when you fly on an airline and you've got that really heavy bag and they weigh it, and you're like, well, you're weighing my bag and it's 1 pound over, and now I have to pay $100 per pound extra. This makes no sense because this guy standing beside me is the size of 2 of me. This makes no sense. Do you know where I'm going with this?
Do they change the rules? Do you have to take all your shit and stand on a scale like I said that's what you should do?
This airline is weighing passengers before they board international flights.
Yes.
Okay. So, Air New Zealand is now making passengers get on a scale before flying abroad. But the goal, sadly, Tim, for you, is it to single out passengers who might contribute to a plane being overloaded or out of balance. Instead, it's a part they're doing this survey to gather information and to help them balance the plane for safety reasons. So they say that they weigh everything that goes on the aircraft, from the cargo to the meals on board to the luggage, and now they're weighing the passengers. The people stand on the scale and no one can see because what they're weighing. They're very astute in pointing out that no one's weight will be shown. A person's weight is a private issue. I'm like, I have to just take a look.
Okay, but when the guy's ass like oozes under the armrest and starts to rub up against you like a Labrador retriever, yeah, it's not secret, dude.
That's what I was thinking. This is what they said. A person's weight is a private issue. For anyone concerned that a digital readout might blare their weight for anyone to see, this will not happen. The scales do not display the weight. And I'm like, we all can tell. So then everybody gets weighed.
What could possibly go wrong? Like literally, Air New Zealand, we fat shamed. Like that's better. That's worse marketing. That is honest to God worse marketing than Gonorrhea Glenn's discount plumbing service, where we give away toilet seats because that's how Glenn got gonorrhea. It's just like that's not gonna work.
This, I guess, they call it a survey. I guess this was launched back in 2013 by Samoa Airlines, and they tried it, which was very controversial. And
Samoa Airlines? Because there's no overweight Samoans. Zero.
And then, of course, listen to this quote from someone from, this is a quote from the NPR writer, says, if they had their way, airlines would love to weigh passengers as they get on the planes, but it would be too embarrassing.
Well, maybe it wouldn't be embarrassing. Maybe it would be amazing. Like you get on there and you're like, dude, you're really thin and you're 220. You must be rock solid. I mean, no, it's embarrassing if it's embarrassing. It's not...
as a kid of a pilot, my dad, my gosh, things got thrown off the plane so many times in these smaller planes. But as I think people know, maybe if you don't know, planes, they have a weight limit. Everything's calculated. It's very scientific. Plus, they have fuel, and
plus they have a really important thing that makes them fly called the center of gravity.
Right.
And if the weight is not balanced over the center of gravity, you don't have a plane. You have a gigantic tube full of oxygen that's going to crash.
Well, I was getting to that, but you cut me off.
Well, for a change.
So, yes, they have to balance the plane with the weight front to back and then total weight.
That's fore and aft.
And then also, obviously, if it's too heavy or it's on the borderline, then it determines how much fuel they can add. And then that, really can change the trajectory of your plane ride if you're not getting to your destination. So usually they're pretty overloaded. Most planes are grossly overloaded and mega ones anyway.
Well, that's
because
nice.
They burn the fuel. But so they're doing this, trying to calculate it and balance the planes properly. But I was thinking, I remember my dad, he would fly these otters, some of the Cessnas, but the bigger otters with cargo. And he would have a lot of bush camps he would fly to. And it was amazing how they could figure out the balance of the plane. But somebody would get in there with an extra case of beer, and then your cases of beer had to go. And he would make people throw that kind of crap.
His last job, where he was flying for the flying fish camp, they get all these Americans that come up, and they're like, these are husky boys, and they'd want to take, because they're flying into these remote lakes for 8 or 10 hours to go fishing, so they want to take these racks of beer, like 96 beers for 4 guys, because hey, alcoholism is isn't just for the faint of heart. Well, they get in there. These guys are like 300 pounds.
Yes.
And they can't take off if they take all the supplies and all the people.
I remember.
So it's like, guess what? You guys are too fat to get drunk today.
Plane's not getting off. So someone is, or some of your crap is. And the
plane is too heavy to get off, but someone is.
Yeah. And That's
You
what.
heard it here first.
Hey, well, that was back when we spoke differently, as I said earlier. In the
Well,
show.
like I said, the stuff I heard growing up, which was not ever intended to be offensive, which now would be.
So yes, there was often things left behind on the runway. So I thought you would like that, Tim. That
No, like honestly, the only thing that, like, what makes a plane fly and what costs the airline by far the most is fuel. It's gajillions of dollars of fuel to fly an airplane, a jet airplane. So my proposal is there's a giant scale and you take all of your crap,
yes,
your check bag, your backpack, your personal item,
you
your
and
whatever,
all your things,
and you take all your shit and you stand on the scale and they go, oh, it's whatever, and then you pay by the pound.
You mean like UPS when you mail a package? Imagine that.
Exactly. Exactly. No, it's funny because I got in this conversation with some friends when I was in North Carolina kiting, and this kid's like, well, when we flew to New Zealand or Australia from, wherever, from Vancouver, BC, we're calculating how much money the airplane makes. And and he's like, yeah, I bet you it's like only like 10 or 15,000 to like gas it up and drive it over there. And I'm like,
what?
Dude, it's more like 200 grand in fuel.
Oh yeah.
And I checked it out. It was like $158,000 or more in fuel. And then you have to pay highly experienced flight crew, like flight attendants and pilots, because they're flying internationally overseas. The maintenance, which is insane on those planes. And you're flying at almost Mach 1. The planes fly at just under 600 miles an hour in those international flights. And it's expensive.
Yeah. Anyway.
Yeah, I bet you it's 10 grand of fuel. 10 grand of fuel. Are you kidding? I'd start an airline tomorrow.
Well, this is some depressing news, but just came out and hot off the press. Well, I'm just reading it today. Get this. Some of you will go, well, duh, no kidding. Chemical found in widely used sweetener damages human DNA, new study says.
Oh, just like the vaccine.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't say that.
You didn't say. So this is a new study that's just come out from North Carolina State University, sharing the findings in a study that they've done there. That's showing that sucralose is now a genotoxic, which means damaging DNA chemical. And based on previous studies, sucralose is actually, sucralose, you eat it and then it produces fat soluble compounds as byproducts one of them is called sucralose 6 acetate. So sucralose gets in your body, then it gets converted into this. So I guess if you're already eating sucralose to replace your sugar because you think it's low calorie or no calorie and you're already overweight, it gets absorbed into fat.
But there's been tons of studies of aspartame and how people that consume tons of aspartame actually, like, they gain a disproportionate amount of weight.
Well, this isn't weight gain. This is about it being genetically toxic. So listen to this.
Well, why would it be genetically toxic when it's made in the lab and it's and humans haven't?
Amounts of sucralose 6 acetate, the byproduct, can be found. So that's also found in off-the-shelf sucralose before it's even consumed and metabolized. Basically, it means that, so say you have your soda or your gum has sucralose. Well, it's kind of breaking down with time, sitting there, releasing this byproduct, sucralose 6 acetate as well. And of course, Europe's much more stringent on what they allow in food, but European food safety has a threshold of toxic concern for a lot of these genotoxic substances. They say 0.15 micrograms per person per day. So based on the study, the work suggests that trace amounts of this sucralose 6 acetate in a single daily sucralose sweetened drink exceeds that threshold. So if you're drinking something flavored with sucralose, it's basically beyond the threshold of safety. And that's not even accounting for the byproducts that are in there after you consume it. And it's also a problem because now they found, and they know that other studies have found that sucralose, and I knew this because of what it does to my body, that it affects gut health. Oh, wow. Big surprise. So what happens when you eat sucralose and sucralose acetate? It causes irritation to the gut epithelial tissues, and it makes them leaky so that other chemicals that normally
leaky
don't cross
gut,
across
what everyone
are
wants.
getting into your body, and it's very problematic. So now you're getting other stuff in your bloodstream that shouldn't be there. And so it's not cool. And of course, the maker of this, Splenda is the most common name for this. Of course, they say, "Oh no, it's."
Well, of course they say it's
something
safe.
That's totally fine.
The freaking tobacco industry was like, no, it's not addictive and it's perfectly safe.
Anyways,
we put fucking vitamins in these cigarettes.
Sucralose,
I mean, it's like, are you kidding?
Is like, I think, one of the most common artificial sweeteners.
Well, yeah, because it tastes better than that.
All kinds of different names. But
Yeah,
anyway, the study was conducted in a lab, obviously not in people, but still.
It tastes way better than aspartame. That's why. But
I always say,
eat real.
If it's not natural, why is it going in your body? Don't be afraid of sugar. I like honey and maple sugar, maple syrup as my other go-tos because they're less likely to spike your blood sugar.
Yeah, but it is just completely insane. And this is what happens. This is the perfect example of what happens when you start with a false premise. And the false premise is the only thing that matters is calories. So when the only thing that matters is calories, you can make some absolutely god-awful scientific sweetener, and then you have less calories. We solved the calorie problem. Yeah, but we made a problem 1,000,000 times worse than the actual sugar calorie problem.
Ooh.
And that's the problem with crappy science, is when you don't look at things like all-cause mortality, et cetera, you get complete bullshit. You get Ignatz Semmelweis thrown in jail and beaten to death because he said, wash your freaking hands after an autopsy before you go stick your hands into a patient to deliver a baby. Well, holy hell. What a terrible guy.
So Barb's asking, what about sweet and low? Sweet and low is saccharin.
Saccharin is probably worse.
It's the worst. It's actually, I think they have studies on that, proving that it's worse.
They proved it was worse in 1975 when I was 10.
Yeah.
They were feeding it to mice and they got fungating ass cancer or something.
Anyway, it's made in the lab by oxidizing the chemicals toluene sol. I can't even pronounce it. I'd have to.
The key is this.
So
eat real food. And if you're addicted to sugar, don't eat sugar until you cleanse your body of sugar. And then if you want to go back and eat it a little bit as a treat, which is what it's meant to be, that's fine. Humans are made to eat tons of protein and tons of fat and not a whole heck of a lot else, like fish and beef and lamb and all of these things. And it's just like the insanity of it's just like I had a discussion with one of my good friends at the gym today, like this fake meat stuff. Okay. Like where the hell is this? So Bill Gates, the guy with stick arms, man boobs, and a giant gut is going to give you, as Joe Rogan says, health advice. Okay. So you listen to this genius and he's going to make fake meat. Okay. So he's going to make fake meat. So he's going to take grass and other forms of carbohydrate and convert them into protein. Well, where are you going to do that, Billy? Oh, I'm going to do that in a giant frickin' factory. And it's not going to be real meat that we have eaten for the last 19 gajillion years. It's going to be made in a factory, but it'll be carbon neutral because the frickin' beef won't be farting. Okay, but what's the factory powered by? Like good thoughts and fairy dust and unicorn farts? No, it's powered by electricity. And what are the byproducts of producing protein from carbohydrates that are indigestible by humans? I don't know. Probably greenhouse gases. Well, how about this? How about we take a giant field where no one wants to live with grass that no human can digest, and we take these 1,500-pound carbohydrate protein converting units and we let them walk around, and you leave a salt lick and some water out, and you know what? They convert cellulose to the most delicious freaking protein in the entire world, which is 100% bioavailable to humans. But no, we have to build a factory so dipshit Bill Gates with like stick legs, stick arms, a big gut, and man boobs can invest in a factory to do the same damn thing that frickin' cows have been doing for the last 14 gajillion years.
Tell me how you really feel. I mean,
Drives me to drink. What an a-hole.
Don't tell me how you really feel.
Man, it's hot in the studio. Holy shit. Excuse my French, but dear Lord.
You worked up a little sweat there.
Man, and I worked out. Man, I'm already at
Did you burn
107.
I'm
at 107 minutes of exercise already, and I just did another.
I think we should check your heart rate, your pulse.
It's not bad. It's like 80.
And see if you're sweating. Wow.
Ay caramba.
You need to learn how to do some deep meditative breathing after that.
Well, it's true though. It's like seriously, it's so devoid of common sense. Well, we're going to build a machine that converts cellulose into protein. We have a machine that converts cellulose into protein, you stupid dipshit. It's called cows.
Anyway,
they've been around for a long time. Yes, they fart. But you know what else they do? They shit. And when they do, they create the absolutely perfect nitrogen-rich fertilizer to go back into the soil and regenerate it. So good that you can sell these delicious morsels to other farmers for which they spread onto their own farms when they rest their crops. Because cows not only produce delicious protein, converting terrible, awful, cellulose-filled grass, they make fertilizer to regenerate what they actually eat.
Imagine that.
Wow. But we're going to build a frickin' machine because I'm a geekmo from Bellevue, Washington. Bite me, a-hole.
Ooh. Okay. I think the fever fuse giving you a fever, and I'm going to take it from here.
I've got a fever, and what it needs is more cowbell.
Oh my gosh. But to the comments on here, the post.
Brown sugar, bourbon, and Dr. Pepper. Yes, that is a definite go-to.
Because you know why? It's brown sugar, and that's all natural. So drink the brown sugar. That sounds actually good. Brown sugar bourbon.
It's a little sweet for me, but it is good.
Yeah. Thanks, Tom, for that suggestion. So yes, I know that, man, when I was consuming all those that training we were doing last year, and I had all those different supplements, and we went through so many different protein powders, and then I started to feel like the worst garbage of my life for a while, and I started to look at the ingredients on there, and I'm like, oh yeah, because whey powder tastes nasty by itself. To make them palatable, they have all this crap in it. One of them is sucralose, maltose, and then the common one is acetylsulfine potassium, which is also known as ACE-K for short, which is another artificial sweetener that to me makes me feel like I have the flu, bloating, a gut ache, all those artificial sweeteners. I know that we developed this stuff because we're like, think we're helping people, because then we're reducing their cravings for sugar, and it's low cal.
No. You're increasing their cravings for sugar because you're fooling them with
your body,
fake sugar.
You're putting the stuff in your body that it doesn't know what to do with. It does actually. We know that it affects your leptin, insulin, all the hormone stuff. It's actually causing more issues, and I just say, if you don't like to smoke a cigarette every day, why would you want to?
No, I want you to think
now
about.
We all look at here. We sit, imbibing in alcohol, so we all have our vices and our stuff. I'm gonna say it for what it is. So,
but that's exactly the point.
So we all have our things,
but you got to understand, that this is poison.
Yes.
Now, it is delicious poison that makes me rant my ass off. So there may be some advantages. There may not,
right? And so,
but there may be.
Not to and so I'm not all about judging anybody that consumes that stuff. That is packaged food to chemicals to whatever. But you have to look at, if you're not aware of that, you might be not so bad off just actually having real sugar in your diet.
But here's the thing.
More so than the chemicals.
Pick your poison.
Yeah.
Pick your poison.
Yes.
The problem with Splenda and all this kind of crap is not that it's super bad or good. It's that it's sold that it's super good.
Exactly.
That's the problem.
Yeah.
It's so think of it this way. Think of it as vitamin infused cigarettes, which sounds completely insane because it is.
It's like our vitamin infused wheat flour.
Well, we're going to get to that in a
Which-
week or so, and I'm going to completely lose my marbles, and I'm not telling you what it is yet, but we're going to do that. But here's the point, is that it's sold like it's good. It's like I'm doing something good because I'm eating less calories and I'm still getting a sweetener. No, it's toxic crap that was made in the lab. Because most stuff that's made in the lab, unless it's a specific pharmaceutical that's going to treat your cancer or kill an infection, is garbage if it's food. Food needs to be food. It needs to be like pulled out of the
Growing
ground
or living
or
living
walking around on the
substance,
ground.
a living plant or animal.
That's
food.
I mean, it's simple,
Yeah.
right? Like I love Cheetos. I swear that they season them with
I thought
crack
it was
dust.
a tiger that ran around that they crushed and made into little curly cues.
No,
and
like,
put in a bag.
but it's the worst thing ever. It's cornmeal. First of all, corn is horrible, but it's cornmeal, which is even worse. It's loaded with a bunch of seed oils, and then they dust it with God knows what sort of crack additive. And then it's just like, oh. You eat 600 calories of that, and it's like, I'm not full. You eat 600 calories of steak, and you're like, I cannot eat another bite. I'm going to die.
Isn't that the truth?
And it's just so that's the key.
That's 'cause
The
cows
key,
are trying to
like,
kill you.
pick your poison. If you're going to have poison, if you're going to go to McDonald's once in a while, go to McDonald's. And you know what? My advice is enjoy it as much as you can.
I know,
Because it's not a
replacing-
staple.
If you're using it on a daily basis to replace something else
Right.
because you think it's safe and healthy, that's different.
Right. So you should enjoy those things. Like if you like drinking and you're not getting crazy and it's not a problem and it's not destroying your life, you should enjoy it as much as possible because it's a treat. If you love chocolate cake, you should enjoy it as much as possible because it's a treat. But it's not like you don't live on, this is not like Louis the 14th in Versailles. Let them eat cake, Marie Antoinette.
Oh, every day. Right.
It's not a staple.
Well,
So-
on that note, you're making me hungry. It's almost dinner time.
Well, we
and
have
I
ribs
wanna-
smoking.
And I want to just give a
Smoking.
few little tips of what's been out in the past in case you missed it and what's coming up. Depending when you're listening to this podcast, we've had some good episodes. We talked already about our interview that we did with Dr. Zaid Ratanzi, who is the overseeing physician of the hyperbaric chamber at New Leaf Hyperbarics, where I go. And he talks on our podcast last week all about hyperbaric light therapy, how it's beneficial and helpful, as well as red light therapy. Coming out tomorrow, we have an awesome interview with a very well-educated and well-versed clinical psychologist. This is Nicole Laurent, who is talking to us about,
In American, it's Laurent.
there you go, metabolic mental health and how to treat and improve your mental health through, imagine this, the food and the fuel you put in your body before chemicals such as prescriptions, and how she has really been one of the forefront people in using the keto diet, because ketones actually are good for the brain to help people improve their mental health and neurologic issues. So check that episode out. That's coming out Thursday, June 8th, and let us know what you think. As always, thanks for tuning in live or on the replay.
And remember, this is not a substitute for seeing an actual healthcare provider. It is for entertainment purposes only. And if you thought it was for a prescription, you need a psychiatrist. All right, here we go. And
wait.
remember,
To sign up for our newsletter, because
Truth Serum.
Truth Serum's out there, comes out weekly, and just write to us on our website to get signed up for that,
Go
where you
to-
get some extra fun stuff that we don't share on the podcast.
Which is bsfreemd.com. Sign up for Truth Serum. And remember, take us away.
Live. Fuck it. Do it live. I'll write it and we'll do it live. And thing sucks.
I'm sorry. That just makes me happy. All right, kids. We'll see you next week.
It's no secret that medicine is a bit, uptight. That's why Tim and I created BS Free MD, to mix things up a little and have fun in the process. Besides, we are having these exact same discussions all the time, so we thought we might as well invite everyone to the party. If you really like us, you can get plenty more, and maybe see one of Tim's cool tattoos on our Instagram or Facebook pages at BS Free MD. See you next time.
But we try to keep BS Free MD as raw and real as possible. We can't be held responsible for any medical decisions or discussions had as a result of what you've heard on the show. We know, bummer. But the truth is, we really do care about your questions. So feel free to reach out to us by email at doc@bsfreemd.com.